Welcome back, guys, to the Eavesdrop podcast. Hope everybody's doing really good. We have a great show put together for you. Todd, how you doing?
I'm feeling amazing. I appreciate you.
Right on. Paul?
I'm great. I'm here. I'm alive.
And I'd like to introduce you folks, Dr. Norris Dorsey.
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Founder of the Dorsey Academy of Entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
Over 20 years experience as an educator.
Yeah.
You packed up with knowledge, aren't you?
I educated myself.
Nice.
I tell people all the time I went pro in education.
Nice. Diving into that part, I would love to hear what you mean, and I can probably assume it, but I'd love to know what you mean, how you word it, Dr. Norris Dorsey, the embodiment of what it means to operate in your own gifts.
So, Ruben, what that means to me is that I learned a long time ago to be my authentic self, right? And that a lot of times people try to be what they're not, and I'm just who I am. I've been the same person for many years. Obviously, I change and grow, but I still got the same personality that I had when I was a young person. And being originally from Chicago and then moving out to Los Angeles, it was really no different. Like, the areas that I grew up in, it was tough. So you had to figure out, you had to keep your mouth closed. You had to, kind of tread lightly when people would pick on you. And that just kind of hardened me into being who I am today.
Nice. Okay, so genuine is the thing. Right on.
Yeah.
I love this next part, as we dive a little bit more to get to know you a little bit more. During basketball, you were a head basketball coach at the Cal Lutheran Summer League, but that's when you decided you made a mention that you understood that coaching was simply teaching, and then you were like, you know what, I'm going to transfer this into the classroom.
Yeah. So at that time, I was doing a lot of different corporate jobs, but my passion was always basketball. I played basketball, family played basketball. And so I was coaching basketball for a summer league called the Reach More Foundation, a nonprofit out in the Valley. And as I was coaching these young men, I go, man, this is great. And I had an opportunity at that time to get into teaching. Had somebody call me up and he said, hey, I need you to teach this class. The class was labor relations. And I don't even know what that is. Didn't know what it was at the time, but I started prepping and I started teaching that class. That was the very first class I taught back in 2001, I believe. And I realized, the teacher has a lot of power, just like the coach. And so I found that I had a passion for teaching.
Beautiful. It started on the court, though.
Yeah, it did. I love basketball.
And I think Paul wants to say something because Paul's got that passion for basketball himself.
Yeah. Were
you a 2 guard or 1 guard?
You know what? I was a 2 guard. It's funny you would ask. 2 and 3. Back then, we was definitely defined by positions. It wasn't positionless like it is now, but I had the advantage over most of the people because, at 6'3", 6'4", I was able to take the little guy inside and I was able to take the big guy outside, and I would go around the big guy and I would post up the little guy.
Mm-hmm. If I may ask, what is it that, within that moment that you've seen that you were teaching the kids to play basketball, what translated over into the classroom? What did you see?
Yeah. So, when you're a coach, you have to be able to explain and communicate what your vision is and what you want the athlete to do. Same thing in the classroom. You have to be able to communicate and explain to them what it is you want them to do, right? Because if you leave it up for interpretation, they're going to do it their way, and their way might not be right.
That's true. Right on. And you gravitated to business courses.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I always have had an affinity for is entrepreneurship. As a young person, I started my own lemonade stand, had my own grass cutting business. I paper delivery, the paper route. So I just did things that made me money and allowed me to kind of control my own time. And so as I looked more into business, it just kind of grew on me. I wanted to learn more about how to run the business, how to just make money, how to market, how to sales, And so what I realized when I was teaching is that I didn't want to go to the K-12 route. I didn't want to teach young people. I knew that college was going to be for me. So I just educated myself on that, learned how to teach college, adults, young adults. And that's where I ended up.
Beautiful. Yeah. You just knew you didn't want the kids, but you went after the minds that were ready.
I just knew, like, I would cuss out the young kids. And you get in trouble for cussing out the young kids. So, an adult, hey, get out my classroom, blah, blah, blah. Hey, you know what? They got to leave. That's it. They not going to tell the principal. You're not going to tell the president.
Right. And so one of the questions that I guess you said kept coming up was, and this was back in 2014, it was, how do you start a business? And then you did a case study. Now who was asking you? The students were constantly asking you how to start a business, or that was an internal question?
No, the students wanted to know that. What I would do is I would pull the class right when it started, like, what do you want to get out of this class? What do you want to learn? Things of that nature, right? And so it always kept coming back. I want to learn how to start my own business. I want to work for myself and, things like that. So I said, okay. After about 10 years of just taking those answers, I said, all right, you guys, we're going to do this together. And so I started the Dorsey Academy of Entrepreneurs based upon a case study. I wanted them to see beginning, middle, and end. I wanted them to see the paperwork that it took. I wanted them to see how to get business, how to market it. And I wanted them to see me stay in business, right? So it wasn't just, okay, let's start this business. I had to stay in business. So, staying compliant, continuously, filling out certain things, building a website. Yeah. And all of that, led me to, I'm still in business, 10 years later. So, it worked.
Wow. Did, what kind of things did you see? What kind of impressive thing, maybe better said, what students or what did they do to impress? Because I'm sure you got some students that impressed you. Like, they were like, oh, wow, what an idea, or what a work ethic, or what a.
Yeah. So some of the things that the students will come up with, if that's what you're asking me, would be like, I had a student that, made their own barbecue sauce and brought it in, and it was great. I had some students that made their own seasoning and brought it in. It was great. And I used to always tell them, like, what is it about the taco that you like, right? And they would tell me, oh, we like the way it tastes. I said, well, the way it tastes, is a $5 seasoning, right? It can take any meat, whether it's chicken, beef, pork, fish, and it can make that meat taste good, but it's the seasoning. Yeah. I said, so if you figure out how to make a good seasoning, it's going to go well on any meat. And so, a group of students made the seasoning. It was great.
Wow.
I've had students, make popcorn butter. I've had students make canna butter where they, use the hemp seeds and made butter, because at this particular school, this was at LA Mission College. It was also a culinary arts school. So they figured out how to do certain things in the kitchen and make a product. So.
Interesting. You almost beat me to the punch. I was gonna be like, "Why is this all centered around food?"
Yeah. They had that. Now I've had other students come up with great ideas. I had one of them open up a taco restaurant, and that was very successful. They ended up closing, but then I've had students open up a health club facility that's still open. So there's a lot of different ideas that I was able to pull out of those students to get them to realize their dream.
Right on. And this wasn't part of the this is definitely, we're going to freestyle here because I did not prepare for this part. I'm going to ask you,
okay.
But I'm wondering if you're definitely willing to. For all our listeners, I think you touched on something very key. You said that you kind of broke it down. You had all the paperwork,
mm-hmm.
The website, mm-hmm. the idea, in a quick, counting them out with your fingers. What does it take?
So startup costs, to start a business can be anywhere from $1 in a dream. I always tell people, just take $1 in a dream on up to, hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the industry. So if I was to advise somebody on starting their own company, I would tell them, look at the paperwork, to start the business, creating your LLC or your corporation or whatever it is. And I would tell them to stay away from being a sole proprietor. You can do that initially, but it's gonna ultimately help you if you become an LLC or a corporation, S corp, C corp, some type of corporation. Then we tell people part of being credentialed are really 8 to 10 things, right? You got to have a website.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have an email that is with the domain of the website. So at Dorsey Academy, at something, not at Gmail, not at Yahoo.
Yeah.
All right. You got to have a business telephone number. And you can probably get away with a Google line, but some type of 800 number or whatever. You need to have a business address, not a PO box. And they're really cracking down on the addresses that are Regency or certain buildings that
They don't like the virtual office.
right, the virtual offices. They're getting away from that because of the 9/11 Patriot Act, right? So they want to be able to find you. Then some of the small things that people don't, bankers won't even tell you. You need a fax number. And who nowadays is using the fax, right? Nobody's using the fax, right? But you got to have a fax number. So these are some of the things that it takes to be credentialed, but it also costs money to get a phone line, a website, the domain, and as well as the hosting and all that stuff. That could be, a couple $100 a year. Your domain might be, $10 to $100. So those are things that are into the startup costs. Now, obviously, you have to have a product or a service. So you have to look at, you selling shirts or whatever, how much the shirts cost to get the design on, to silk screen it, might be one of those things that add up, and I always tell people, like, start slow. Like, don't go and buy a bunch of inventory and then you can't sell it.
That's right.
Because now you're stuck with it. And then, that's really it. So anywhere from, $1 in a dream on up to hundreds of thousands of dollars will get you started.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So we do know that most people in the world are 9-to-5ers as opposed to business or owning a business.
Mm-hmm.
What type of conversations are you having with these folks to have them unlearn to relearn?
Yeah.
That this is a different route that you can take.
Yeah. So what I normally do, Paul, is I'll tell everybody, like, do a self-assessment. Figure out if you can work harder for yourself than somebody else. That's number one. Now, maybe initially you might not, but if you have a passion for something, that'll kind of lead you into that right direction, right? And then, most people have to be pushed a little bit, but you have to start. It's like, going to the gym. The first day is always going to be the toughest day because you fight yourself inside your mind trying to figure out, okay, am I going to stay here the whole hour or am I going to do one exercise and leave? So, and getting started is going to be the biggest challenge for most people because if they got a 9-to-5, what they have is comfort. There's nothing wrong with comfort, but, we know that the growth lies on the outside of being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of comfort, you're not going to push yourself as hard as you would.
And you're expendable.
And we know now with AI being the center of discussion, a lot of people are losing jobs because they haven't developed the skills. They haven't decided that they want to do the work for themselves. They're looking for someone else to help take care of them instead of taking care of themselves. So there's a lot of things involved in changing that mindset. But, the first step would be a self-assessment. And there's a bunch of them. Like if you just Google self-assessment, you can find a good self-assessment. You take those 50 to 100 questions. It's tricky because sometimes they'll ask you the same question two different ways, similar different ways, but it'll tell you who you are, right? And you can't lie to yourself. Like that's the main thing is like, stop trying to lie to yourself. If you want to watch TV when you first wake up, then you got to cut the TV off. That's going to be your
TV off. Turn the TV off.
Turn the TV off.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
That's well said.
Yeah.
No, that way.
I usually I've heard it both of these ways defended in what I'm about to share. It's been defended from both sides, but where do you stand with it? It takes money to make money.
Yes, it does. But I'll say it this way: sometimes you can make a little bit of money and spend a little bit of money, right? So the idea is make some money, save some money, right? Don't spend it as soon as you make it, or don't have it to the point where you have to spend it. I know that firsthand because I retired a couple years ago, and I was just wasting money on food. But now I go, I don't need that food, you know? And so I'm saving money on food, you know, like the things that I buy are not that expensive. A salad, when you buy it from the store, is not that expensive. Now, when you go to the restaurant and buy the salad, it could be $15, $20, but you know that it's only $3.
Yeah.
Are you a big believer on paying yourself first?
I am, but I haven't paid myself in years. So, you know, that's the other side about being an entrepreneur is like the CEO eats last. There's a title of a book that the CEO eats last. And so sometimes you got to pay everybody else. You got to make sure that if you do have employees that they're getting paid, you'll get paid. Eventually your idea will hit, and, you know, and you'll be well compensated.
I definitely want to name off some of these organizations you've worked with. So the Los Angeles Urban League, you're a keynote speaker, African-American high school graduation celebration. How's that?
That was wonderful. You know, just being able to stand in front of the young people and just kind of tell them a little bit about my story and my plight was wonderful. And, you know, again, I wish, you know, I can get back in front of those young people because I'm sure that they're in college now doing great things and, you know, achieving their dreams. So that was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. I, you know, put on my cap and gown and stood in front of them and I said, hey, man, this is what you're going to strive to be, you know, college graduate. So it was wonderful.
My friend's house.
Yeah.
You donated time to homeless in Skid Row. Yeah,
I picked 3 organizations. It's one of the things that I just do behind the scenes. I don't make a big deal out of it. But My Friend's House, Peggy Beatrice Foundation, along with Love Thy Neighbor. These are 3 organizations that every year I'll donate some time, I'll donate some money, I'll donate some clothes, food and everything. My annual fundraiser for families that I do every year, we raise some money and I donated that to, this year I picked Peggy Beatrice Foundation. So, you know, a guy named Pierre Johnson, help him out and gave him some clothes and everything. So he takes it down. So all 3 of those organizations serve downtown LA. And Peggy Beatrice Foundation is on Tuesday. I think near San Pedro and 6th or 5th. And then My Friend's House is on Wednesday. I forgot what street she's on, but she also has a boutique downtown too on 7th. And then Love Thy Neighbors on Thursday. So, you know, any one of those days, if you guys, you know, if anyone wants to, you know, donate some time or some effort, go down there and volunteer. It'll change your whole philosophy.
Yeah. I was about to say, do you get to see it often? Do you see it often? Or is the donation, you donate the money, you donate the clothes, you donate, and then the time, is it often?
Right. So it's weekly.
Okay.
This is weekly. They, you know, all 3 of them are down there every week on 3 different days. And yes, you do see it. You know, as far as my donations, you know, sometimes if I take it to the boutique or if I just take it right then and there, they give it away right then and there. So somebody's walking around with a jacket that I just donated, you know.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
walking around with a blanket. I go, hey, that looks free. Oh, I gave it away.
And my answer might be obvious, but I just kind of want to see, you know, how you might word it. Over the years, it's getting worse, right? It's not getting better.
Yes, and there, you know, systematically, and we can talk about that a little bit, but systematically, it's getting worse because I think with this generation, they're missing some stuff, and then the system is set up to where it's having people forget some basic things that we learned in the 70s and 80s and the early 90s, and so now, you know. Homelessness is one of those things like, I don't know why it's become such a big problem. I do know why. It's a weather tax. You know, to be out in Los Angeles, it's like the weather is great. So you might as well be homeless out here. You ain't going to freeze to death.
Yeah, you travel with less. You're like, you know what? I can just travel with a little bit of stuff, you know?
Exactly.
If I get cold, I'll just light a trash can on fire and get warm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why it's called a weather tax. They don't say it, but trust me. People are living out here because of the weather. They're living on the beach because of the weather. Like
the beach.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Wow.
Exactly. So
The waves all day.
Man, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
You're so right. I wonder how much of a percentage that plays. Wow.
it probably plays a lot because I mean, if you think about it, like you can actually survive in other states, especially states like a Montana or even in New Mexico. Like the cost of living is not that expensive out there.
That is true.
But people won't move out there. They're like,
Yeah,
the
right.
weather ain't good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hawaii, the weather's good,
Yeah.
but you got to worry about storms.
Yeah.
Music Changing Lives. Is that another organization?
Yeah, that's another organization. They serve the San Bernardino area out there in the Riverside area, and what they do, and I help. His name is Josiah, and what they do is they teach people how to garden and how to grow their own food and how to be self-sustaining, so they're not, holding to the system.
Right.
So
Right. And you offer financial literacy workshops.
yeah.
When you're doing these workshops, what's the main thing that you identify that's like when you're doing the financial literacy, you're like, I have to make sure I mention this. I have to make sure these things are mentioned. What would that be?
So how I got really knee deep into the financial literacy is because I have a 21-year-old son, and when he turned 17 and was graduating high school, I said, okay, son, I got some things to tell you. And he didn't want to listen. And I thought, now's the time you should listen. I don't care if you didn't listen when you was 10, but like,
You're going to listen right now.
right now you should be listening to me. And so he didn't want to listen. And I said, okay, son, everything I would tell you, I'm about to write it in this book. And when you're ready to listen, just read the book. And as a dad, specifically a Black dad, I just thought like, okay, we can't just throw our kids away. We have to make sure that they're getting these lessons that was given to us. And so my biggest part about the financial literacy is what's next. And I had to just kind of get in his head and understand, okay, son, you about to be 20, 21, you're about to be a young adult, you're about to be in your 30s. I'm just kind of looking at his life and I'm going, okay, it's not my life anymore. I've already lived what I needed to do. I'm still living, but the what's next, became, okay, your first car, your first apartment or house, your first job, your first credit, your budget. And I looked at the things that he was going to be faced with that I've already experienced. And I said, okay, how are you going to experience them? What do you need to do? What do you need to learn? What's important? And so that's the main curriculum, the what's next curriculum.
Yeah, what's next.
And it's still applicable to us as adults because we have to figure out what's next. Do we need the house? Or are we saving for the car? Do we want this or do we want that? We want vacations? Have we saved for retirement? These are things that, are very real questions that we have to start asking ourselves and answering.
The Big House, community hub, small business incubator in Los Angeles.
Yeah. So the Big House, student of mine, his name is Oscar Aguayo. And Oscar, I think he approached me back in 2013. And I had Oscar as a professor. I think he took my business law class. And so he needed help starting his own nonprofit. He wanted to get in his community and teach them micro lending and how to get loans and how to improve their circumstances. And so the Big House is down in South LA. It's a wonderful house that I do workshops at. I'm on the board of Oscar's organization called Conexion, and it's wonderful. It's a great hub for anybody in that area to learn how to do certain things. They have a pitch competition for entrepreneurs that came up with a business idea, and I'm going to judge that coming up next weekend. As a matter of fact, no, actually, it's February the 8th. Yeah, I believe it is.
Wow, you and I there's still a couple more organizations I wanted to name off, and I'm just at this point, I'm just like, talk about your contribution, talk about your heart.
Yeah,
your heart is really in the right place.
Yeah.
Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health. Also, you.
Yep. Department of Mental Health. Good friend of mine. Her name is Osby Sangster. And Osby, if you're listening, we miss you. We love you. Osby was affected by the fires in Altadena. Her house burned to the ground.
Prayers. Prayers to
You
her.
know, I had to find her because, you know, I knew she made it. Well, I was hoping that she made it. She did. I found her at the Pasadena Convention Center. But the Department of Mental Health is, it was a really good experience for me because, you know, just kind of dealing with some of the mental health issues that we all are faced with. I'm no different. I was dealing with some depression and understanding how to get through it. Now, what, you know, the idea is that I have critical thinking skills. And so I was able to kind of compartmentalize and put things in order. But I can see how people struggle with, you know, suicide. Or I can see how people let the mental health of bills or things that get in the way affect them. And so I wanted to make sure that I was touching that demographic. Spoke at their annual event a couple of times, and you know, was on the board, not the board, but was on the call. They have these weekly calls, and you know, to talk about things they have coming up. And you know, I love the Department of Mental Health because it was an opportunity for me to understand and give back to those that are less fortunate or that might have some struggles.
And that's another demographic growing, right? Instead of shrinking.
Yes, it is. That's definitely growing. I think a lot of people struggle with mental health and don't know how to have an outlet.
That's true.
You know, and you know, for me, my outlet is just go to the gym, blow off some steam, and then do some deep thinking and meditation and do some stretching. That kind of puts me back center. But you know, some people don't look at it as easy as that. What I did was I wanted to educate people on the cannabis and just wanted to kind of look at it from a holistic standpoint. A lot of people looked at cannabis and didn't understand, you know, that it was more than just a drug. It's not a drug like that. Anything that grows from the earth and is a plant,
Medicine.
It's a medicine.
Medicine.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, just kind of educating people on that was my challenge. So I wrote a book called Just Say Yes. And in that book, I looked at the different strands of the plant, the sativa, the indica, and you know, I also looked at like the fact that you can make food with it, you can make clothes with it, you know. So there was a lot of history around it with the war on drugs and how they, you know, just made it look bad, right? They used it as a gateway drug and said that it was, you know, ain't nobody ever killed nobody smoking weed. Right. They might have killed the refrigerator, but they never killed nobody. I've yet to see a murder because they was high on weed.
Right.
You know, so
and I think that's media talking, saying that it's negative.
That's the propaganda that they put upon us.
And that propaganda has taken place since the early 1900s all the way to today. Yeah. Right. But you know, that was part of the grant is these workshops, the transferable skills, making sure that people that you know has suffered through the charges of their cannabis conviction was to be set free, set whole again. So I was, you know, educating those people on that.
So unlearning to relearning. So.
Of course.
I wish in 2015 we would have ran into him, helped us out with Greenleaf Planet.
Because that was the same type of model that we had, infrastructure that we had with educating the public on.
We felt that was the
it's
the umbrella.
It's still the umbrella. Like it's still one of those things, you know, as New York opens up and different states open up, like they still need education. Like it should be curriculum in the schools. Because the young people are going to smoke now. They you know, they think it's cool.
What year did you say that was?
2015. Oh, for him, it was 2019.
But just think about 2015.
Right.
Pioneers.
It's 10 years. Yeah. 10 years. Pioneers.
Greenleaf Planet.
GLP.
So we're in 2025 and there's still a lack of
course,
information for
it's always
cannabis.
slow. It's always slow.
That's crazy.
All right. That brings us into the opportunity for us to dive into what you're really passionate about. It's going to be the financial literacy. We're going to fire off a bunch of questions, man. Your brain's going to be
all back and forth.
You're going to be like, please.
Overload.
But before we do, I do want to highlight the things that you've accomplished here. You got The Art of Inclusion, and that's a book that you wrote, the success stories of African Americans in the nonprofit sector.
So that was my first book, the first published book that I wrote. And what I did was I flipped my dissertation into a book. And a lot of the research that I had on that was looking at the African Americans that chose nonprofit as their form of success and job, and just looked at the way they approached it, right? Because when you're the CEO of a major corporation, sky's the limit as far as how much you can make.
That's right.
But when you're a CEO of a nonprofit, like, they're gonna have a limit, it's not gonna, because their mission is the cause, right? They don't put money into the shareholders. They put money onto to their cause and their mission. So that's the difference in terms of a CEO running that. But I had some great men to ask these questions. I did a portrait study on it. Dr. Ross, who was the retired CEO of California Endowment, they're the second largest nonprofit in California, and I think the 15th in the state. In the nation. And he's a phenomenal mentor for me. I was able to pick his brain. I had another guy who was the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club, Jim Ventress. He was also a phenomenal person. I think he retired as well. But, those are great stories. Read that book, The Art of Inclusion.
And that takes us to what you mentioned in 2019. You did the War on Legal Cannabis, Just Say Yes, the book, and you kind of touched on that. Then there was another one you just recently did, which was the Financial Literacy Education, a practical guide and workshop and workbook basics.
Yeah. That one was, like I said, done out of the love for my son. He didn't want to listen. So I said, all right, son, I'm going to put everything in this book. And when you're ready to read it, all right, you're going to learn.
Has he read it?
No, I don't believe I don't believe so.
I like that pause. You're like, no.
I tried to make him read it. He probably read a couple pages and then he put it down, and I don't think he picked it up yet.
You know what it is? It's because you wrote it. And what happens is when the kids read your words, he's thinking of you saying it. So he only wants to hear a little bit of it. He's like, you know what? I'm good. If I want to hear the rest, I'll talk to you about.
When your son, I don't know if he has a girl. If he has a girl in his life that is reading books, by design, he probably will pick up your book.
That's what I'm hoping for.
That'd be great.
That's gonna happen sooner or later, and actually, that's a very proud moment. I know he's gonna be proud. I just know he's gonna be proud.
I'm gonna keep writing too, because I got a couple more in the can that I'm gonna put in his face, and excuse me, hopefully he'll pick up the reading.
Yeah. I think we all our pops. If our pops wrote a book, man, wouldn't we be proud of our pops?
Yeah. I would read my pops' book, because he's definitely a scholar. How many books have you wrote?
So I'm at 5 right now.
Okay.
Right on. All right. So here goes the first question.
All right.
So what inspired you, and why is this topic so important to you? I think you might have answered it, but it's a direct question now. Why is it so important to you, and what inspired you?
So I would have to say my dad inspired me. My dad died in prison. He was a lifer, and he would continuously be a father from behind the bars. So he would write me all the time. He would make sure that he was giving me manly advice and things that he knew was good, and he just inspired me. And I remember when I got his stuff sent to me after he passed away, they sent me all these boxes, and he had all the letters that I ever wrote him.
Oh, wow.
I was like, wow. All my young letters. I'm like, I didn't even have good writing back then.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
His name is John Lee.
John Lee, man. Wow. Can you share an experience where the financial education that you have has changed someone else's life? I know you were speaking about your son, but I know you were talking about some other students as well too. Can you explain?
Yeah, listen, one of the things that I had to be was the test dummy, So, I had an early bankruptcy in my life, and I turned it around from that point. And so now that, I'm a responsible adult, some of the decisions that I make are, I ain't got to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
I don't have to show all the money that I have. I'm good at eating, at a I want to call it cheap, but eating at an inexpensive restaurant.
Yes.
But
Cook slow.
but some of those lessons, that I pass along are things that I've gone through and that I've learned over the years of how to make $1 out of 15 cents, how to budget on a shoestring budget, how to be a baller on a budget, right? And these are things that I pass along, so people get them all the time. I always drop nuggets on people. I always give them little tricks and stuff, especially when it comes to credit. I bought a car, so I give you the answer to that story. In 2017, I believe it was, I had terrible credit. I just really didn't care, and I let my ex-wife, just move on, right? And so I bought a car, and my credit at the time when I went into the dealer was like 500, like 505.
Wow,
terrible. They gave me the loan.
They still gave you.
They gave me the loan,
Yeah,
and
they did.
it was a 0% interest loan.
What?
And I said, you know what? Okay, let me get my stuff together. And at that time, I didn't realize, they had their own bank and financing. It was Gallup and Ford. And so I figured it out. I started working on my credit, paying things off. To this day, I can tell people how to fix their own credit.
That's legit.
awesome.
Nice.
Following that, what's the biggest misconception people have about financial literacy?
That they don't know about it and won't ask about it, right? So I think a lot of times when people say financial literacy, it's almost like they're financial illiterate, right? And so, when you're illiterate, you don't necessarily want to ask anybody, you just kind of gonna go through it, or, you might be tricked into doing something and then it doesn't work out in your favor. But I think financial literacy is one of those things that everybody has to take an active role in teaching, especially younger generation, right? They're not too young to learn how to balance a checkbook. Now, we say checkbook. Nobody's writing checks anymore.
You're like, checkbook. Can
Right.
you imagine that?
But
your mom used to tell you, hey, take the checkbook and go write a check at Vons.
right.
Like, no.
But from there, you're gonna get a bank statement,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you need to know what debits and credits are, right? And then you need to know what rent is. And I don't know anybody not paying rent, but rent is due every month. And they have to learn that responsibility of paying something every month. They want the fresh car, they want the new clothes. So these are things that the financial literacy will teach you. But I don't know if they actually want to hear it because they think that the clothes are free. Or that, the parents are just buying it.
I hope our kids are listening. I know I have several children that are listening,
It's funny how financial talk's not attractive, but the clothes you wear are.
Right. That part.
Yeah.
Did you ever find a frustration in the traditional education system that they'll teach economics, but they don't teach the financial literacy? Or do they?
So economics is one subject matter that I don't teach. And it's so funny. I think that they shouldn't candy coat what's really important. Stop teaching those subjects that don't matter to nobody. Teach things that are practical and real world. And so that's why I became a good teacher, because I teach real world. A lot of the lessons and everything that I teach is built around real world and how you can handle yourself, in the public eye. Like things that won't come back around, it's not even worth teaching.
Yeah.
I don't care about anything, that's geography.
What's that gonna do for you? It's gonna get you lost. Hey,
His story.
got you lost. MapQuest will get you lost every time. But what are some of the common mistakes, financial mistakes, you see people making?
Spending too fast, all right, and not being patient with these big ticket items, I think is is a big mistake, right? You have to actually understand that things will come when they're supposed to get to you, right? You don't have to buy them soon. You don't have to, want it faster than it's going to get to you. When it's ready to get to you, it'll get to you. And I think a lot of people make mistakes overspending what they don't have, right? If you don't have it, you can't spend it. So I don't take vacations unless it's paid for. Me personally.
That's smart.
So I'm going to Africa in July. It's already paid for. Nice. I bought that ticket. I got to decide on how much money I'm going to take with me, but I got money to take with me.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of times people will take a vacation, put it on the credit card, or spend all the money while they're there and they ain't got enough to get back. Not doing that no more.
Dr. Dorsey.
Yes, sir.
How early should financial literacy be introduced to kids, and what are the most effective ways to teach it?
Good question. I think financial literacy should be introduced to kids right around 3, maybe, maybe 4. But and I think that we do teach them certain things about it. Whether it be the Gerber baby food or the Pampers or whatever the case may be, we can start telling them, these things are not free.
When you run into somebody who you just really want to help them, what are the main 3 things you say they should focus on?
Whew, that's another good question. Unfortunately, I stopped trying to help everybody. I only help people that want to be helped and will ask me for that information. And one of the things that I always tell people is take care of their financial responsibility. Be responsible. It's tricky because the United States has a poor credit rating, but they want you to have a good credit. So I don't know if I fall victim of that, but I think that it's important to, be responsible. It's important to understand that, if you can own your own car and not have a car note, that's much better, right? I've had my car paid off since 2019, and all I got to do is put gas and water in it. I ain't got to worry about nothing else.
And some insurance
and
or
some
liability.
Insurance. I got the insurance, but it's so much more affordable when it's already paid off. And so people have to start thinking about things like that. That's the kind of advice I'll give them. Don't buy all these material things, too soon or at the wrong time. Save and wait on some of that stuff. You'll get it.
It's funny that you say save. In that book that I was talking about, The Psychology of Money, he says we learn and we teach to save for a car, save for a house, or save for this, but we really don't necessarily say just save to save.
Yeah. Just have a little nest egg, a little rainy day. Like you might never know when you need it.
Yeah, it's true.
That's exactly how he says it too. You never know. You never know when you're gonna need it.
Yeah. So credit scores. You were talking about credit scores earlier. What are the key things everyone should know about maintaining good credit scores?
Well, the main thing is to pay on time. That's the main key thing. Like, don't be late ever. Like, never be late. And if you are late, as I've been late, and call them right away. Tell them you made a mistake. I'm late. I'm sorry. I wasn't able to do it. Then longevity does help, right? So you don't want to close an account just because you can't pay it anymore or you paid it off or it's not a good account. Keep that account. So my oldest account is my Macy's. I think it's 1989.
Wow.
So,
1989 is the number.
That's crazy.
Listen, I've had a good relationship with Macy's and bad relationships. Sometimes I was shopping at Macy's too much. Sometimes I was, not shopping enough. But at the end of the day, I have a Macy's account that is that old, and that helps with some of the newer credit that I've accomplished, recently. And so when you look at your credit history, you definitely want it to, be like 7 years, all of it together, because that's over the threshold of 5 to 6 years. They look at new credit as a potential risk, and so that'll hurt you. The other thing is, ask for increases at the right time. Don't ask for them, at the beginning of the year or, throughout
Holiday season.
Ask for them at the holiday season.
Really?
Yeah. Ask for them. Ask
Really?
for them around Christmas because they know you're going to shop and spend some money. So they willing to give you the increase then.
That's
Wow.
You're vulnerable. You're vulnerable to those increases.
Yeah.
Oh,
true. And that makes just logical sense. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
When it comes to saving and investing, what's the biggest mindset shift people need to make?
Don't be scared. Scared money don't make no money. I forgot who said it, but it was a rapper, I'm sure.
Are you eavesdropping?
So you have to take a calculated risk on certain things. I think that you also have to value who you get the information from, because not everybody is in your favor, is going to help you out. Some people will tell you things just because. It's almost like listening to the expert that's gambling, right? They might just say some things, but you can't just take that. You have to kind of do your own research and kind of figure out if it's actually a good bet. So I would say for me, I'm very conservative when it comes to investing. I look at things that will grow over time. I'm not trying to make a quick buck. I'm trying to make some long-term moves. I think with the financial services that I'm in, I'm really into retirement. So I look at a lot of annuities. I look at it's called an IUL.
Yep, I know about it.
So I look at the IULs.
Index Universal Life.
Yep. And some Roth IRAs, I'll look at, but a lot of the mutual funds and the CDs, I stay away from those, because it's
fluctuates, it's volatile.
It's not in my favor.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to do some stocks, I'm looking at now some of the tech stocks, some of the AI stocks. Those are things that are going to take off. So I want to try to catch them at the ground floor.
Right on.
So another scenario where you find somebody you really want to help that's overwhelmed with debt. Now he wants help.
Okay.
He's overwhelmed by debt. What kind of steps do you give him where to start?
Sure. So what I did to reduce my debt was I stopped spending. All right. So that's number one. Like you're going to have to just rein it in on the spending, right? Because a lot of times they think, oh, I'm going to solve the problem by getting more money. Nah, that's not going to control your spending. And I know a gentleman named John Hope Bryant, he talks about it. I can give somebody $350,000 and they'll be broke in 6 months. And I'm like, oh my God.
Habits.
The other thing is pay the little ones down first, right? But the little ones, the little phone bills, the little, credit cards, department store cards, get rid of those. Those high interest cards are what's going to kick your butt. And so that would be the first advice that I would tell somebody. The second advice would probably be like, okay, you're gonna have to put that all in one. Get a promotional credit card, throw them all on one card, and then make that one payment. And then for those other ones, put them aside. Don't use them no more. You can't pay off the debt and then call yourself.
Using it.
You can't, because you're gonna be back in the same problem again.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to put it aside and control that spending. That's the main thing.
I think that's very key.
Yeah.
You were basically talking about having the people plan, like planning their money. So how should people approach financial planning during uncertain economic times like this?
So, when I plan, me personally, when I look at my budget, I go, okay, what's my goal for the year, right? And I start looking at what certain things are going to cost and how I'm going to achieve it, right? And then on the financial side of it, what I just mentioned is, okay, you got to control the spending, right? So you can't just be spending money. You can't go out and eat all the time, right? You're going to have to make some of those meals. I think COVID was a perfect example of people were willing to cook when they had to cook.
Yeah.
Right. But now they don't have to cook. Let's go out to the restaurant. Let's spend this $100, $150. And you can only do that once, maybe twice a month.
Yeah.
Other than that, you ain't gonna have no money.
That's right.
That's true.
And so, when it comes to planning, you have to plan out, okay, this is gonna be date night or the night that I go out and entertain. This is gonna be me gonna cook. And if you decide to cook, buy things that you can stretch for 5 days, 7 days, maybe 6 days, and eat
spaghetti. You know, hey,
Taco.
we black. You already know.
Chili.
Spaghetti, chili. You know what I'm saying?
All the time.
Beans.
All of those things.
Black eyed peas. Yes.
Not spam. We're not doing no spam.
I won't go there on who eats spam, okay?
Right. Because I don't even know what spam is. Is that pork?
Me neither.
That's everything.
Well, I don't know what it is.
either.
Mystery meat.
We all ate it with bread. We all fried it with bread.
I don't even know what spam is.
And bologna.
I had no idea.
So, Dr. Dorsey.
Yes, sir.
What are some of the red flags some people should watch out for when seeking financial advice or services?
Be careful of the person that's not willing to tell you all the information. And I think that, when it comes to certain parts of financial services, certain parts of financial literacy, things of that nature, you're going to have to do a little research on your own.
Right.
But you want somebody that's smart enough and intelligent enough to explain to you how certain things work and not allow you to just say, okay, thank you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
No. Did you get that? Like, make sure that they understand what you just said, because they'll act like they know it, but then they don't know it, and then they'll blame you because they made a mistake. With the investment or with the, information. So you have to be able to find somebody that actually knows what they're talking about.
Can I touch on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's CPAs out there that will deliberately tell you just enough to keep your business, but they will overcharge you and not tell you so they can continue to charge you more.
Yeah. So, it does happen. And that's always like, I don't know, the old adage is a sucker born every minute. Like, they know, you're not going to, do the extra work you need to do. So I always tell people, listen, you ain't got to go out and get a degree, but you're going to have to learn certain things. You're going to have to be able to read. And if you're not willing to do that, then expect it to happen to you.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of times people don't know what they don't know. So they just willing to just take anybody's word for it. No. That's not going to happen. And I think that that's where we're at right now, right? It's a generation of AI. It's a generation of Google. Like, they haven't even opened up a dictionary or, an encyclopedia. They don't even know what an encyclopedia is.
No,
so
that's right.
the research is definitely not there like it used to be. We have to look things up. We have to do a little research, a little homework or whatever. So, if there's red flag, like if an accountant, and that's just a trusted person, right? They got a license. If they don't want to tell you something, that just tells you, I got to get a new accountant.
Right. What kind of business they're about too? It tells you.
I got to get a new accountant. I can't continue to trust you. You gonna tell me everything I need to know, and then you don't tell me.
Yeah.
Conflict of interest.
What would I know this is a big deal and it matters a lot, and we just haven't brought it up yet. But discipline plays a big role in all this, right?
Absolutely. You have to have self-discipline. That has to be at the forefront of everything that you're willing and standing for. I think that I've had to improve my discipline because, I can't tell somebody something and then not do it. So what I do now is I'm trial tested. Everything that I talk about, I've done it. And I think that is a testament to, I can tell you because I did it. It happened to me because, and so I think a lot of times where people don't have the discipline, listen, I work out every day. I don't really take a day off. Ain't no need to take a day off. I need to work out every day to loosen up my body and but I can tell somebody, hey, you might want to work out every day. Now, what I've been practicing lately is I'm trying to eat better, right? But that takes good discipline, right? You can't do it. I drink only water. You, Todd, I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
Because Todd hit me to the water machine. I bought the water machine, and that's all I drink. It flushed out the taste for anything sweet and fruity drinks and stuff like that. I only have a taste for water. So
no high blood pressure.
No high blood pressure. I just checked my blood pressure today. It was 135 over 86. So
that's perfect.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is Todd gets around, man. He gets that Kagan machine around.
Of course.
Water.
And in my household, we went from, well, even going way back, Kool-Aid. We got rid of the Kool-Aid.
Grew
we got
up
rid
on
of the
Kool-Aid.
soda.
Yeah.
We got rid of the soda. We got rid of the sweet drinks. It's everybody drinks water.
Yeah.
Everybody's drinking water.
You got to save the Kool-Aid stamps for a free product.
All right, we're gonna, as we wind down this portion here, I think it's gonna get a little exciting here because we haven't talked about it since you've arrived. We haven't brought it up, but it's gonna get brought up right now. Cryptocurrency, the financial education that's how does the financial education evolving over the next 5-10 years with digital banking, digital assets, and the fact that it looks like it ain't going away.
No, it's not. And, so the dollar has definitely been assaulted, and I think the dollar is going away. They're fighting real hard to keep it alive, but I just don't see it making it more than 10 years from now because, Gaddafi, he was ready to, put his currency to the table, and it was backed by gold.
Yes, right.
But Gaddafi ended up gone.
You know what? They say that was because of that.
Of course, of course. I mean, they killed Gaddafi.
You knew what he was doing, all right?
He was doing free education.
Nobody paid for education.
Yeah, it was everything was free. It was all
yes.
It was all backed by him.
Yes,
by gold.
Gold, yeah.
And so when I think about the digital currency, I've yet to embrace it wholeheartedly, but I know it's something that I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to go out. I bought some crypto. I bought some cryptocurrency maybe like 2-3 years ago, and I sold it. And I kicked myself for it because I go, now it's like $90,000.
Scared money.
I thought it was gonna go up back then, and it was taking this time to go up, and I'm like, oh my God, I would have had a coin by now.
Let me guess, the media got you.
No, I just was greedy. I just said, oh, I need this to do something else with it.
Yeah.
But
I made that mistake. Don't worry, I made that mistake.
Right. I mean, it can happen, but hey, listen, the key is to jump in and to get in. So, I know I can buy it again. It's just going to be more expensive. And I also would think that you're going to have to travel in order to really understand that the digital currency is going to be the new currency. I think a lot of times we're stuck in Los Angeles or in the United States and we haven't really seen the world. I go to Mexico every year. I've been for the last 3-4 years. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And it isn't about the peso or the dollar. Sometimes you just got to ding and go, and it'll take the money and convert it for you or whatever the case may be. So I think that traveling will help people get more accustomed to some of the currencies that are out there.
What are some of the must-have tools and resources that you see one may need right now?
Well, I would say that you're going to have to get familiar with ChatGPT or some type of, AI type of software because everything is really kind of happening with the AI, right? Whether it be this podcast or whether it be, videos or music or, whatever. So that's a thing that I like. I'm using.
You trust in AI?
Oh yeah.
But you don't trust in crypto.
I didn't say I didn't trust in crypto.
Oh.
I just didn't. I can't afford crypto.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's kind of expensive right now.
Yeah, 100,000 something like
There
that.
Yeah.
With the rise of cryptocurrency
Mm-hmm.
and digital assets, what does financial literacy look like on these topics?
So I'll give an example of that. You can buy a house, a portion of a house, with with your crypto or you don't need a $300,000, $400,000 loan. You might just buy, a percentage of the house. And I know people that have sold a percentage of their houses and, they use that money to invest in other stuff. So people now are understanding, I can buy a percentage of a house. It's just like investing in the market, and you don't have to live at that house. You just, you can use that to make more money.
Do you feel pressure to add a couple more chapters to your financial literacy book?
I'm gonna do a volume 2. Yeah, I'm gonna do a volume 2 because I have other stuff that I need to touch on. And the initial book was really just to kind of get him with the first. So now that I know that there's other topics that need to be addressed, I'm gonna do a volume 2.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Already working on it.
Yeah, so before you go there, would you think you would say things have evolved to push yourself to do a volume 2 or the second edition of the book?
The crypto.
Because crypto's alive and well now for sure.
Of course, yeah. I would definitely add that in there. Right. That's one of the things that I need to educate myself even more on, because it is the way of the land. It's the new currency. Yeah. I think the digital wallet is definitely, it's really opened up.
Yeah. We actually have a lot of listeners that are tuning into crypto now, so this is probably great for them, our audience, to learn from you as well too.
Yeah.
One of our guests, after the show, we'll make sure to maybe share some information so you can jump on his YouTubes.
I would love to.
Yeah, he's teaching. He's
solid.
The DeFi about it.
What's so great about crypto is, listen, anytime you got an arena named after you all over the United States, you're making some money.
Yeah, that's true.
What a name.
That's true.
It ain't fake money. That's real money.
Yeah. Staples to crypto.
Yeah. I think the Philadelphia Stadium is crypto, or one of them stadiums.
Yeah.
So, isn't the old Staples Center called crypto now?
Well, definited that one.
But he's saying another one might be.
One. Okay.
They got a couple of stadiums
called crypto.
Yeah.
Crypto's taking over.
Mindset wise, and the kind of from your past students to maybe current individuals that you come in contact with now, what's their mindset? Is it scarcity or abundance?
It's definitely abundant. Nice. I don't think that we have that type of bandwidth to be thinking scarcity anymore. Everything is yours if you want it. You can get and achieve anything you want. And I think a lot of times we're told no so much that we talk ourselves out of it. No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be abundant. I'm gonna achieve it. It's mine.
Now that's definitely you as the teacher, conveying that. And you're saying that you find the students and the people you run into that match it. You're not finding yourself having to change their mind. That's encouraging.
I treat them like they've already got it. I teach them like they've already got it. So it's just a matter of us going through that process and learning. But no. You already got
Beautiful.
It. You've achieved this, especially with the classes that I teach in business. So like this semester, I'm going back to teach accounting. All right, it's a new accounting, but it's the same accounting. So
good deal.
If you can give just one financial habit that can change someone's future, what would that be?
Take your time. Be patient with what it is you're trying to do. Have a goal, right? Because if you have a goal and you write it down, you can achieve it. I don't care what that goal is. If it's, I want a Rolls Royce, I want a new house, I want a whatever, you can achieve it. I've achieved all my goals that I wrote down.
Beautiful.
But I didn't achieve none of them that I didn't write down. Ones that just stayed here.
Write it down.
Yeah, write it down. You got to write it down. You got to be accountable to, what you're writing down.
Write it down.
Eavesdrop, that one, that's a big one. You all know that now.
Yeah.
Dr. Dorsey.
Yes, sir.
What's the best piece of financial advice you've ever received?
Oh, you flipped that question.
That's a good one. That's the best.
Was it John Hope Bryant that gave it to you?
Well, I've listened to a lot of people. I'm gonna have to say it was Kobe. Because when I met Kobe, I picked his brain. I was able to get about 10 minutes with him.
Really?
Because everybody kind of left him alone for a minute. And I told him, I said, Kobe, this is the first time I ever met you, man. I said, this is the first time I ever seen you. I've never seen you in 20 years in Los Angeles, and I'll be all over the place. Wow. And so, what I asked Kobe was, I said, Kobe, I just started, the Dorsey Academy, and, I need some help in building and growing it. And at the time, I started a mobile classroom. I bought a trailer, and I bought a trailer. I hitched it to the back of my Suburban, and I just drove around into inner city, Lamar Park, different places, and I said, "Hey, if you can't make it to college, I'm gonna bring the college to you. I don't want no excuses on the learning." And so I asked Kobe at the time. I said, "Hey, Kobe, I need some help. How can I get it done?" He said, "Man, no problem. Just call me." And Kobe was gonna help me. I was like, yeah,
that's crazy.
But Kobe didn't make it,
Wow.
And so, but
That's deep.
that was, I guess the best advice that I'm trying to get out of it is you have to ask for the help.
You do.
Don't be afraid to ask.
Don't be afraid to ask for the help.
You do.
And there's a way to ask for the help so you can get the help versus asking for money. If you ask for money, you're gonna get advice.
What's the way to ask for it so people know?
Right. So don't ask for money.
Yeah.
Ask for help.
Advice.
Ask for advice, but don't ask for money. Yeah. I didn't ask Kobe, "Hey man, Kobe, you got an extra $1 million?" No.
Oh, his ears would have been like, "Get this."
I would have been like,
"Get this much security. Get this motherfucker out of here."
Right. I asked for help.
So you're saying based on that conversation you had with him, that it allowed him to open up and say, "Hey, take my number."
Yeah.
Wow. And that was a big lesson for you. You were like, because you didn't think he was going to say anything, or even,
I don't.
Or you didn't know what he was going to do.
I don't know what he was going to do, but I did learn from that. Is I told my class, I said, "Hey, you know what? If you're in a room full of billionaires, you have to know how to approach them. You have to know what to say." So in that room, it wasn't just Kobe, although he was my hero.
You just had Jay-Z and
Elon Musk, Jay-Z, Kevin Hart, Diddy.
Hey. Beep, 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 beep.
No phones.
I mean,
phones.
It was what's my guy that was Black Panther?
Oh, the guy passed away?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jordan.
Not Jordan Peele, but
about the main actor of
the Black Panther guy.
I forgot his name.
Is it Chadwick Boseman? No, not Chadwick.
Something near
So I mean, listen, French Montana. The list goes on who was there. I mean, it was so many people there. I was just like, but in thinking like that, I knew, okay, they just like regular people like us. They got a little more bread. They had a few more breaks or luck or whatever you want to call it, but they're regular people. So you have to know how to approach that and get what you need. I wasn't going there to network super hard, but I did want to ask a few people some questions. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
All right. With that part, we reached halftime. Yeah. Thank you for sharing all those gems that you dropped. For financial literacy, would you like to say any final words regarding the financial literacy to end this segment here?
Well, what I'm doing now with the financial literacy is I'm working on the curriculum. We want to get it in the schools. We want to get it in the LAUSD or maybe, some surrounding counties. And we want it to be one of those things that it's part of the curriculum. Either an elective or part of the main curriculum. I think that, the educational system has to change, right? Because these young people are getting out and being challenged to get a job or, find their passion. And there's only two ways to go. You're either going to go to college or you're going to go to the workforce. Mm-hmm. And going to college has turned out to be a bad move. If you're going in there and you're going to get that debt and you're not necessarily going to get a job or not the job you thought you was going to get because you went to college. And so as a teacher, I'm cognizant of understanding that young people need more options and choices. They don't need to be told what to do or to be an employee right away. They need to figure out what they can do and bring that to the table. And so that's the new financial literacy that I want to be able to say that, I was part of developing. There's a lot of curriculums out there. Don't get me wrong. Like people have done some financial literacy great work, but I think that what I've done and what I've created will stand the test of time. And it'll last a long time for a lot of young people to get what they need and start working on it.
Man, that's awesome. Excellent. All right, we're gonna switch gears a little bit, kind kind of take some pressure off you. Man, you know, you guys had all these questions for me.
It's okay. That's why I came.
Appreciate it.
So I have a funny one. You know, I 12 schools in 13 years.
I did.
What? Oh, that's right, yo. What?
Yeah, man.
12 schools.
I went to a lot of schools.
Man,
I can name them all too.
You got a whole bunch of friends.
Yeah, I do. I know a lot of people.
Different states for sure, right?
So mainly Chicago and Los Angeles, but yeah, we moved a lot. You know, I tell my mom all the time, I'm like, Mom, I moved pretty much every year.
Yeah.
You know, for a while. And yeah, so the one school I can't remember a whole lot of was the one that I went to in the first grade. But I do know the name of it, and I go, oh, yeah, I kind of remember that one. But, yeah, I went to a lot of elementary schools.
So it wasn't necessarily multiple schools in 1 year. It was like almost a new school each year?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, it was both.
Yeah, both. So let me break it down because I think that the listeners need to understand this. So my kindergarten year, I went to a school called Granada Street School, Granada Elementary. And then in the first grade, that's the one that I barely remember, but it was also in Mission Hills or whatever, and I forget the name of it. Then in the second grade, I went to Edward H. White, which is in Chicago, and I also went to it was just Edward H. White because I still stayed in Chicago. And then in the third grade, I went to Carpenter Elementary. That's in Studio City. And then in the fourth grade, I went to two schools. I went to Hazeltine Elementary and I went to Aragon. I got bused. That was the first year of busing. So I got bused to this school called Aragon. Aragon is pretty far. It was like near Dodger Stadium. And then in the fifth grade, I went to Bassett Elementary School. That was in Van Nuys. And then in sixth grade, I also went to Bassett Elementary School. That was in Van Nuys. So that was the first time I went to the same school twice.
So you was like, hold on. That was a pause. You're like, wait a minute.
Right.
This shit is scary.
I knew a couple of people because I went to school with them last year, right? so I was familiar. And then in the seventh grade, I went to Fulton Junior High. That was a middle school in Van Nuys. And then in the eighth grade, I went to Madison Junior High. That was in like North Hollywood.
When you was in the valley,
I was in the valley. I was in the valley.
Known in the valley.
I was in the valley hard.
Everybody knows you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Then in the ninth grade, I went to Cleveland High School because that was the first year they had ninth grade in the high school. So I followed my cousin over there. That was 85. I went to Cleveland High School because he I used to ride with him. I had to ride to school in the morning. And then he graduated. And then I decided to go to Van Nuys High School, where my brother went to school at. And I went to Van Nuys in the 10th grade and 11th grade. And then in the 12th grade, I went to I graduated from North Hollywood High School. We moved again. And yeah.
You're a professional.
Yeah. They can say you play basketball everywhere.
Everywhere I went.
Every part. They knew who he was. Hey, we got him. Come on.
Yeah. And that was just high school. I went to a bunch of colleges too, but I ain't going to mention all of those.
He said, I went to Mount Sac, Pasadena City College.
I went to Wall.
Cerritos.
I know this person or that person.
What was what kind of thoughts or what kind of I don't know, what kind of comments you got about that?
So what I learned about that experience is that I've been able to use my superpowers to go in and out of all of these different locations. And, everybody has been here before, some way, somehow, right? And so what I also know is that I wasn't scared. Like, I never had a problem at any of those schools, whether it was gangs or, bullies or just in general, like when I look back now, I go, all right, you know what? I had the ugly year. I think it was maybe like 8th or 9th grade. I just thought I was too chocolate and, whatever. But that didn't stop me from being who I was, which is a nice person and everything else, right? So I think a lot of times when you think back at those experiences, right, I just was able to fit in. Like I was able to fit in. And so, even to this day now, like I could be, I've had corporate jobs. I've had all kinds of friends. So, my mom was a musician. I grew up in the music business. So, some of the people that I've been in the room with, whether it be the Gap Band, Shaka Khan, Prince, Tom 84, like the names go on. And I go, man, I've had a really blessed life. Like I've had some serious experiences, and it's like, and it's still going.
Well, you're from Southern California, and I can say the same thing too, where, we put ourselves in a certain arena and you meet the right people.
Of course.
I've had a chance to meet some pretty famous people too, man. But I know you always in the right rooms.
You already know.
What powers do you feel that you have to allow you to blend in with so many different people in different areas?
Yeah, so I think that I'm able to be my authentic self at all times. And I think a lot of times, when you blend in and when you fit in certain rooms, if you're yourself, like people are going to know that, they're going to gravitate to it. So I always say the example would be that room full of billionaires. All right, I probably was, the lower end of who was in that room. Like, I don't want to put my pockets out there like that, but shit, I didn't have that kind of resources, but I was okay.
Yeah.
And they didn't look at me like I was a poor, broke guy. Like they just said, "Oh, okay, whatever. He made it in. He must be."
Yeah. You got Kobe's number. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
What's interesting is some of those was you were naming off some of those schools. Some of those school changes, you volunteered. You were like, I'm going to go here where my cousin was. I'm going to go here where my brother was. It's like, man, you know what? You got used to it.
Yep. I did pick a couple of those schools. You're right. Yeah. Because even like Madison in 8th grade, I went over there because my cousin that went there, and I just knew one person there. Because the reason why I didn't stay at Fulton is because my cousin left. Like they graduated and went to high school. I was like, I don't want to go there. Ain't nobody there. Wow. Ain't nobody there. Yeah.
Right on. So that kind of we'll take a quick turn and go back to, you had mentioned that your father passed away in 2021, and you said he was a lifer.
Yeah, he was doing life.
What was he in there for?
So a lot of,
you don't mind sharing?
No. Listen, I love telling my dad's story. My dad got the license because he was a 3-striker right, under Nancy Reagan's 3-strike law. But the reason why he ended up in there is because he got into a fight over a girl, and he beat the guy up pretty good. And what got him the attempted murder was because it was a stick. They was fighting in the a little dirt yard or whatever, and there was a stick, and he picked up the stick and whipped him up with the stick. And so the guy ended up in the hospital for a couple of weeks, and so they gave him the attempted murder charge. And because that was his 3rd strike, he got the natural life sentence. And because he had the right legal representation, he couldn't really fight it the way he wanted to fight it. And so for many years, I was fighting it for him on the outside. But, like when you trying to find like the Innocence Project or, some type of attorney that can, really kind of see the case for what it is, it's not as easy as it seems. And I even reached out to some of my celebrity friends because I asked Jamie Foxx. I asked a friend of mine who's hanging out with Jamie Foxx. I was like, hey man, can you get Jamie Foxx? He's like, nah. So then I was like, oh, they don't really mess with me like that. So then I had another friend who knew Kim Kardashian. I was like, hey, can you get Kim Kardashian? Oh, she's only taking cases in Texas or whatever. I'm like,
doesn't that make you feel like a certain way, like people are blocking?
I already know, and so what I realized, you need to do this one on your own. And so I just, I forget asking my friends or, celebrities to help me. I was just like, I'm going to do it. And I wasn't successful. Oh, I was successful, but I didn't get him out in time before he passed away. And you know what's so crazy is I think, they never said it, but I think he, died with complications of COVID. But, they didn't put that on a death certificate. They didn't say it, but you already know, like that was one of those things in prisons that was going around and they wasn't trying to help nobody.
Because they were making money.
How old was he?
Mm-hmm.
How old was he?
My dad, at the time he passed away, was 71.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how much time was he
Actually,
locked
might
up?
have been 72. So he was already doing about, I think he was on his 33rd, 34th year. Oh, yeah. Yeah, grew up
Wow.
without the father in the home. That was raised by women.
Yeah.
But that's.
That was a plan. That was a plan, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
You could write a book on that, huh?
You know what? I do have that goal to finish telling my dad's story. So, there's some things that I got unfinished that I'm trying to work on. That's where the chat GBT comes in handy because it can cut off a lot of that time. But I'm thinking that the chat GPT will, put it all down for you.
Yeah, it will.
Right on. And then you have brothers?
Got a brother.
Just one brother.
Older brother, 4 years. Matter of fact, his birthday was yesterday.
Happy birthday, big bro.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Make sure you hit the subscribe button too on the YouTube.
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
Eavesdrop.
Right on. And then you had mentioned the Kobe at the Jay-Z party.
Mm-hmm.
But you never got a chance to call him, huh? You just had his number.
So I did reach out after he passed away. I reached out, tried to get a hold of Vanessa, but you already know that's going to be very difficult. She's been guarded really well, and so I wasn't able to get her on the first time. I just think that I'll end up getting that connection at some point, because I think when you have a true heart and a real heart, it'll just make it happen for you. It'll open up. Somebody will make it happen for me.
Well, with as many things that you've been involved with the charitable organizations, I think someone's definitely going to hear this or hear your heart.
Exactly.
It's through messages like this where these things can be exposed. People can see the natural, authentic you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good. Philosophical and reflective piece of advice that you stated here. That growth happens on the outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Don't get comfortable. Or what? How does that go?
So the belief is that when you want to achieve something, you're going to have to be uncomfortable, right? I think that early part of our conversation was, the 9-to-5 people that have regular jobs, how do we encourage them to, take that entrepreneurship jump or whatever, right? And one of my good friends, his name is Demetrius Brown, call him Poet. He said it back.
Poetry.
You remember Poet? You know Poet.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Poet said it back in the day where you have to be uncomfortable. A job is comfort. So most people that have a job, like they wake up 9 to 5 and they go sit in that traffic, they're comfortable. And they're not trying to disturb that comfort. You know what I mean? And it's okay to have a job. I'm not saying don't have a job, but if the job is taken away from what you really should be doing or want to do, you got to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to, go to that job and then spend a couple hours working on your own business or your own self. You're going to have to figure out how to, get to what it is you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I went to school and I was going to school and working a full-time job at the same time. People go, when did you get your doctorate? Hey, man, when you saw me, you thought you saw me. You just you saw me passing through. I was on a mission at the time, man. I wasn't even.
You thought you saw me.
That was a hologram of you.
Yeah, boy.
I love that.
Yeah,
nothing grows in the comfort zone, right?
No, it doesn't.
Right.
And that was at the time when I thought about when I was getting my education, the doctorate degree, I was 32. And I said, if I don't do it now, I ain't going to do it. Right? Because I knew I would get comfortable. And I would just go to a job and I wouldn't be motivated to get the education, right? And the education is more ego than anything else. Granted, I know some things that other people don't know, but it was more like, okay, how do I fill this ego up? It was more ego driven than anything. And because I got my undergrad from my grandmother. I told her, I said, I'm going to get this degree for you. And then the master's, I don't know, maybe I got it from my mom. I'm not sure. But the doctorate was all me. I wanted that one for me. I was like,
some selfish ways on that one.
Right.
Yeah, that one's for you.
Yeah.
Is my bad.
Go ahead.
Is it true that they say in the PhD world, you can't have an opinion until you have a PhD?
You can, but
that what they say?
They got something called ABD, all but dissertation, and they have something that's basically you have to cite the source until you finish your PhD, right? And then when you finish the PhD, then you can cite yourself, or you know. But I mean, it's tricky. I mean, they say a lot of things, you know. None of that's, you know, all of that's just whatever.
It's just hearsay.
Yeah, it's just whatever. You know, it's like ain't gonna stop me.
That's cool.
Another couple questions. What people should be asking more in life about, either in life or work or relationships. And in life, you're saying they should be asking if they're living in alignment with their values.
Well, to answer that question, I believe people should question everything they believe in, right? If you don't believe it, who cares? Nobody cares. You don't believe it. But if you do believe it, question it. Question why you believe it. And then the other part of that question or answer would be, think critically about certain things, right? I think a lot of times we don't use our critical thinking skills the way we should be thinking, and we let a lot of things just kind of, you know, go, right? You know, the hiding in plain sight, which is what they do a lot of, and the history or his story, which they change a lot of. It's like, well, why are they changing so many things? Why don't they want to give people credit for what they did? Or, you know, like, you know, when you think about a Black Wall Street, or if you think about, you know, a Dr. King back in the day, like, think critically about some of these things, and that will help you flush out and get to some of these answers, right? And then don't be scared, right? You're going to find out some things happen, and it's like, okay, now what? What are you going to do? You're going to just take it and dust it under the rug, or you're actually going to make some moves to do it, make the change that needs to be made. And I think a lot of times that's what, you know, is missing, you know, the real thought-provoking leaders that can actually make some of these things change. It's tricky. It's a tough time, but I'm going to hold myself accountable, and I'm not going to let certain things fly by me. You know, I'm like, hey, why did that just happen? You know, and think about it.
How about when it comes to work? You mentioned that people should be asking how they can make a greater impact.
Yeah. I you know, that's one of the things that I think that going to 12 schools in 13 years, you know, has helped me is because I'm not scared. I want to make that impact. I want to be able to help young people. I want to be able to leave behind certain informations. I want to be able to provide access to information, things that they don't get or can't get. And a lot of times, you know, it's really the young people in the inner cities that can't get access to information. But at the same time, you know what? That's why I had the mobile classroom, because I was like, all right, no more excuses. You can't get to college. I'm going to bring the college to you. I'm going to bring the classes to you. But I think also, you know, you have to be willing to kind of put yourself out there a little bit and actually take a chance on yourself. Like, bet on you.
Yeah.
You know, because ain't nobody else thinking about
nobody
you.
else in the bet on you. Yeah.
You know, I can say, like, listening to the story, and I've learned so much from you today, and I appreciate it. You've pretty much banked on yourself the whole time, and that's from teaching the youth when you took the chance of teaching someone, seeing something in you that you may not have seen in yourself, and you went out and taught others, and then got inspired to do more, got the financial literacy all down packed, and now it's like, man, you know, then you took the class on the road to the students.
You know, every step of my life has been a learning experience that I wanted to share with others, right? You know, from the standpoint of if I can do it, you can do it. I'm not the smartest in the room. Like, I already knew that my educational journey was because I had the basketball not give up mentality, and I was like, all right, you know what, I can do it. When I first started my PhD program, the first class, I turned in some, you know, less than admirable work. And the guy asked me, he was on my team. He said, hey, you know, what happened? I said, oh man, I got busy. He looked at me, he said, you know what? We all busy. I'm a principal with, 300 students. This person is a vice principal. Like, he started breaking down. He's like, well, what do you do? I'm like, I just got a regular job.
I was tired of my soup. I was cooking my soup, and it was about to burn. I just had to.
And that's the point that he was making, right? You know what? We all got something to do.
Wow.
So whatever you think that you busy doing, it ain't as busy as this assignment that we got to turn in as a group. And all you was given was a small portion to turn in, and you didn't do it.
Oh, this was a group effort.
Yeah, it was a group effort.
Oh, snaps.
And so that taught me, like, oh, okay.
Called your ass out. You was like,
gotta be accountable.
Yeah.
Gotta hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Gotta be accountable.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've been trying to teach to young people. Like, it's not about the doctorate. I mean, great. The initials and the letter is cool. The degree is cool. It's accountability.
And discipline, right?
And discipline goes with accountability.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Todd, that you commented on his story, and I was going to lead into the 3 words that describe him, and he stated curious, resourceful, and empathetic.
Yeah.
And that empathetic, is you're definitely feeling something for you to be doing the things that you're doing.
Yeah. And I mean, you know what? I think the biggest eye opener was during COVID, and so many people was complaining, oh, I can't take this. Oh, my rights are taken. Oh, I can't move. I got to stay in the house.
this damn mask.
And all I could think about was my dad. I go, golly, my dad's in a 5x7,
COVID.
been in that, excuse me, been in the 5x7 for years, and he ain't complained once. My dad never complained. I go, golly. So when I thought about that, I go, man, you know what? You got to have some empathy for anybody that's got their freedoms taken away, whether it's their fault or not, like whatever the case may be. He can't move. He got to be told what to do.
Yeah.
He has no choice, and when you think about how people live their life, still happy, still gracious, still thoughtful, just takes you back to like, I don't know, I ain't never been to Africa.
What am I complaining about?
Why complain?
How could you complain?
Yeah. It's just a lot worse. And I always do. I'm very thankful.
Guilty pleasure. So you binge watch cooking competition shows?
I do. Look.
Some Bobby Flay.
Yeah, Bobby Flay is for sure.
Doctor, hold on real quick.
Yeah.
When we were talking earlier about the barbecue sauce, the seasoning,
all the food,
I was like, wait a minute, is this tied to this?
I definitely, listen, I've cut back on my TV. I really only watch sports. I don't even watch news anymore. And so when I binge watch, I just caught myself binge watching Taken, and then I binge watch Equalizer with Queen Latifah and obviously Bobby Flay and some of the other cooking shows. So those are my guilty pleasures. I mean,
So you're on social media, right?
I am.
So do you catch yourself watching reels of people cooking a lot and just putting?
I don't
Facebook?
do.
No.
I do catch reels, but I'm not watching them cook.
No,
that ain't.
That gets you. That gets you.
Well, there's a guy on Facebook is grilling with AB, and I guess he must be from LA, but he's always making some fire food.
And then about as far as a book or a movie or a podcast that you're into a book right now with James Clear, Atomic Habits.
Yeah. So I haven't read it yet. I'm planning on reading it. I have 3 other books that I want to read as well. I have 2 friends that wrote their books, and they sent them to me. So I got to download them and put those in the category of, And then I had another recommendation for a book. I don't know what the title is. I think AB sent it to me, but I'm not sure what the title. But he told me, he said, man, once you open it up, you're not gonna put it down. So I said, okay, I'm gonna read these 4 books. Hopefully over the next 3 to 4 months.
Let me throw a 4th one in there or a 5th one in there. That the psychology of money.
Oh yeah, I will definitely put that in.
How many books are you reading per year?
So last year I read maybe 3 to 4.
Okay.
Because I probably read 3 to 4. Don't ask me the titles of them, but I do.
Yeah.
I do.
curious.
And it's so funny because reading to me is one of those things that, because I read so many books when I was educating myself, I kind of got tired of reading.
Really?
I didn't. It wasn't fun to me anymore, and so I took a couple years off.
You didn't flip to audio, like audio book?
No, I tried. It didn't work for me.
It's different if you're reading. Huh?
Yeah, I listened to an audiobook and I was like, this dude's boring. Like the voice started getting nerve-wracking to me. So
it sounds like Siri sometimes.
Right. So the last couple of years, I picked up some books. I bought some books on Amazon. I went to Barnes and Noble and read a book there. So I'm getting back into the love of reading. That's the main thing. And that was the thing that I was really disappointed with my son, because I'm like, son, you just graduated high school. You haven't read enough books to be tired of them. I read thousands of books, or hundreds of them at least.
Well, there's a statistic that we used to hear from one of our supervisors, John Thompson, is that the average person doesn't read a book from cover to cover once they graduate high school.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine. And that's one of those tough ones, right? Because that's one of the areas that's falling off.
Yeah.
Is the reading.
Yeah.
Right?
And not to cut you off, but when you were in the building with all those billionaires, the reason why they are billionaires is because they're proactively reading books annually.
Yep.
So it's pretty crazy how
it goes hand in hand. It goes hand in hand.
And another thing John Thompson taught us is that the average millionaire, and this is back in early 2000s, he said the average millionaire was reading at least 10 to 12 books, whether it's, small, thin books or large books, but 10 to 12 books a month.
And had 6 to 7 streams of income.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Man, I have a real interesting question for you, because, it's down here as one of your answers.
Let me hear it.
Here we go.
Wife and partner saved your life.
Yeah. I think that a lot of times, being humble, you don't talk about things that are depressing or whatever. But, when a couple years ago, October 2022, I had a stroke and a heart attack. I had a heart attack in 2017. That should have told me, like, get your stuff together. But God wasn't done with me. So I had the stroke, and then I sat on the couch and I was, just depressed, because I couldn't believe it had happened to me. And then I just was like trying to figure out, what I was going to do. And Todd called me, but my wife looked at me when I was sitting on the couch, and she goes, you gonna sit on the couch, you gonna get up and do something about it. And I looked at her and I wanted to get mad, but then I was like, you're right. Like, I gotta do something about it. I can't just waddle in my own self-pity and everything. And so I got myself up. I started walking the building, right? And walking was difficult for me at the time because, I didn't have the balance under my feet, and, I was losing certain, I just I couldn't grip. I couldn't do certain things, right? So it was a late acting stroke. But then Todd called me up and he said, man, I got something, I want you to, try this water. And, hey, listen, that saved my life. I'm just keeping it 100. Like when Todd put me, with that water, it solved a couple of problems that I was having. One is I was just a glutton. I was just drinking lemonade like it was going out of style. I was drinking the whole bottle of Simply Lemonade. I was drinking the whole
2
can
for $5.
I was 2 for $5. I was killing it, man. And that's how I was drinking the sodas, and I was drinking all of the stuff that was terrible. But when we think about it now, we go, man. And I wish I could help more people, but it's just like, okay, I had to save myself first. And so, she did that. And then, she also helped me start getting healthy with enemas. I started doing a daily enema. I don't do daily no more. I do like every other day, but I do the enemas. And, I started fasting longer. So I do the intermittent fasting. And, I think a lot of the working out that I'm doing is just more maintenance and preventative and making sure my body stays loose. But yeah, man, those 3 to 4 things really, really saved my life. And, you know, Todd's responsible. My wife is responsible.
What did you learn about the enemas? Because you have to be the first person that I've heard talking about enemas. So, like, what did you learn in that?
Yeah. So, you know, what the enema has done for me is it allowed me to watch what I'm putting in my body, because if it's hard to come out, that's number one. So, you know, what it did initially. So I had to get through phases of the enema, right? So the lower intestines was you know, the easier phase, but kind of hard. You know, at the end of the day, like stuff that was sitting down in my lower intestines and my colon and everything. So I cleared that out. That probably took about a year or whatever. And then, you know, you start working on the upper intestines, right? So what the enema does is, if you can take a bag, it's a half-gallon bag. They got half-gallon and gallon. I'm not doing a gallon bag. That's a lot of water. But if you could take that half-gallon bag in one sitting, and so what you do, you just lay on the floor in the bathroom. You stick the thing up your butt, the little tube or whatever, and then the water just kind of goes up there naturally. And then, you know, if you can take the whole bag in one sitting, it probably takes about 2.5, 3 minutes, right? If you're not super backed up. If you backed up, it's going, you know, you're going to have to stop, because it'll make you have to go. But, you know, now I can take those bags, and then I take the bag and I sit on the toilet, and, you know, 15, 20 minutes later, everything is clear.
I think this might be a life hack to people listening now, because essentially, well, your stomach is your brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, you even bringing that up, just as I was like, whoa, I never thought about that. Enemas is what will really keep you healthy.
It does, man. You know, like there's so much misinformation out there regarding enemas, especially men. Like we
Too
don't
masculine.
we don't want nothing going up in us.
You're talking about laying on the floor with something in your ass.
Exactly.
Like, wait a minute.
Hey, wait a minute. Hold on. What?
I got some shit to fix.
Yeah.
I got some tires to change.
Look, man. Todd, you're so true. And the first couple of weeks, you know, my wife had to help me with it, because I had never put nothing in my butt, right?
Slow down.
I know you probably felt violated. Like, what am I doing?
You don't be saying, I don't be saying that shit.
I just closed my eyes. I said, "Hey, baby, go ahead." You know, so you know, she helped me the first couple of weeks, you know, because I just didn't know how to do it. And then once I figured my arm was long enough to reach back there and do it, I was like, "Oh, okay, I can do it." You know, so I don't.
Don't ask no questions, okay? don't ask no
And this is why we're the Eavesdrop.
Don't ask no questions. We can put it on him right now, but we respect the doctor.
Yeah.
Respect the doctor. Okay?
No, that letter.
Yeah, man. Yep. So
That's what's up, man.
yeah, but you know, so then once I got to the upper intestines, so you know, that's, you know, the Lord got cleared out. The upper intestines is a lot harder in terms of getting. Listen, man, we've been eating since 50 years or whatever. All that food over the years, like your inner walls, your inner lining, it's got stuff in it. So it just takes time to go through it and then clear it out. But you know, water definitely will break stuff down, right? So I got the water up in there, and so now everything is broken down. Things that come in go right out.
Nice.
You're definitely looking good.
Thank
sure.
you, bro.
Yeah.
And that's the water and the hydration on the skin.
And he's hitting the gym too.
Yeah.
So you're doing the beauty water too.
Yeah. I do I don't do the beauty water. I just really do the 9.5. I mean, you know, I tried the beauty water initially, but I'm like, I don't wash
He's
it.
too beautiful.
Yeah,
He's too beautiful already.
But the 9.5 helps your skin.
Oh yeah.
If you drink it for so long.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. That takes us to this 2-minute warning.
All right. 2 minutes.
Right.
2 minute warning.
So we asked if you could eavesdrop on a historical conversation, and you would have eavesdropped on the Martin Luther King and Muhammad Ali conversation.
I would have loved to have been in that room, a fly on the wall. I don't know what they was talking about, but you know, when Muhammad Ali and Dr. King got together, and I think it was maybe Sidney Poitier or Harry Belafonte, it was some other people. There was like 2 or 3 other people. That would have been a great conversation to listen on.
And there's now. You like you say, you like, I don't know what they were talking about. We don't know what they were talking about, even from
I think some of the old footage might mention it, but like, you know, Muhammad Ali, you know, he wasn't as much as a Dr. King was more trying to integrate and bring everybody together and get our fair share. Muhammad Ali was like, no, we need to keep to ourselves, do it on our own. So I agree with that with Muhammad Ali. I don't agree with Dr. King. Listen, man, I love Dr. King. Dr. King was fantastic, but Dr. King made a fatal mistake for us, and he tried to get us incorporated and interjected into. We want to be accepted. Hey, man, we always gonna be what we are, and I don't need nobody except me. That was the one thing I had to learn with teaching college. I'm like, hey, where's the black professors at? It wasn't nothing there. I couldn't talk to nobody. And I think that, something that I just saw the other day was, we always going to be a inward to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can try to be accepted or whatever.
Negotiator?
Whatever you want to call it. We're going to be the N-word to them, and Diddy knows it. Bill Cosby knows it. R. Kelly knows it. The list goes on of who knows it because that's all we are. You
know who might have information on that conversation?
Who?
Al Sharpton.
Yeah, definitely Al Sharpton would. I met Al Sharpton before. He's a nice guy.
Big Al, Little Al.
Little Al. I didn't meet Big Al. I met Skinny Al.
You're going to Africa.
Yeah, I am.
Which part?
I'm gonna go to Ghana, and then once I get over there, I'm probably gonna hop some different countries. I want to go to Uganda. I want to go to Zimbabwe, and possibly Kenya. I'm not sure about the Kenya stop, but I'm not real big on South Africa. But I hear like it's a spot to stop at. But I'm definitely going to Ghana.
Yeah, why Ghana?
So Ghana, I have an uncle over there. So that made the trip a little more affordable.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got to worry about paying for the room or whatever. And then we're gonna do the tours and stuff like that. And then Uganda, I have a friend over there who she does celebrity tours, and so I was trying to work with her on getting some celebrities over there, but
it's tough.
It's very tough because they're like,
you gotta get like 20 shots to get on the plane.
Yeah.
I already got my shots. So, I don't know about the celebrities, but I mean, the shots, it's not that bad on the shots. I mean, I did.
It's a few, right?
Yeah, it's a couple of like the yellow fever and maybe, something else. But I got the shots last year because I was going to go.
No boosters, though.
No.
Okay.
Ain't no boosters. But I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that.
With you on the show. Come on, man. You here.
You know why Ghana caught my attention?
Wow.
I'm a big boxing fan, and Ghana is known for producing, from Africa wise, they produce boxers.
Yeah,
some of the greatest boxers.
Yeah, they have that big guy from Ghana. I forgot his name. He's huge.
The one from UFC or boxing.
He's a boxer. He's huge. He's like Todd's height. I
He
forgot his name.
Did he lose to Tyson Fury?
What's his name? I don't
well, Tyson Fury's not black.
Tyson, but the other guy we talking about, he's from Ghana. He has like braids on the top.
You're not talking about
Uganda. I mean,
he's huge. He's people.
Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, you're not talking about Deontay Wilder.
Not him. No, this guy he's from Africa, bro.
And you were talking boxing?
Yes, he's
Ruben's
huge.
a boxing master.
Yeah, I'm not. That's not clicking.
I'll look him up while you guys talk.
But when it comes to African nations producing boxers, Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I bring that up to your uncle. Be like, hey man,
he knows. I already know
all the champions.
Yeah, I already know he knows.
Do you have any like hesitancy when you're traveling through Africa? You think? Are you
No,
going to?
No, I'm looking forward to it because one thing about the misinformation that they do is they make it seem like Africa is a third world country and that there's lions everywhere. Like you already know that's gonna be the furthest thing from the truth. But in saying that, I'm never gonna be scared of my people.
Yeah,
like that is something that just doesn't cross my mind. Like why would I be scared of my people?
You a fool, man.
You already know.
Like, do not go over there. Do not go over there. The lions.
That's so funny. But let me give you some information I never even tell anybody in a while. I have a library. I don't know if it's the whole library is named after me or just a little portion of it. But one of my students at Cal State Northridge when I was teaching named Thaddeus Mensah. He came over, got his education, went back to Ghana. And he had asked me, he was like, oh, Dr. Dorsey, can you donate? I'm building a library. I was like, no problem. How much you need? I thought he needed a couple $100. He only needed like 20.
Red dot, no green card.
That 20 went to building a desk and tables and chairs and all kind of stuff. And so he named a library and he sent me, he sent a picture of it back to me, with all the kids and him. And
wow, that's crazy.
so I want to go visit that. Like that's something that's, I'm like, oh, okay, this is great.
Hey, he better be true.
You going soon? You going this year?
July.
Oh man,
you about to go check?
You going right when it's hot?
Well,
I think it's different weather patterns.
Yeah, it's definitely different weather patterns, but yeah, it's gonna be a little bit warm. But I mean, shit, who cares?
Yeah, I live in Moreno Valley, so it's hot.
I'm gonna take my shirt off.
Same shit.
Hey, look, they sweaty over there anyway, so
they are.
I ain't worried about it.
Oh man, all right. Final question. So this is a song you karaoke'd already, or you just like it?
I've karaoke'd it before.
Damn, Biggie Smalls, One More Chance.
Yeah. I love that song.
Oh man, well I don't know if you know, but Todd, he has the karaoke machine back there.
I'm not about to do it. You're not getting me to karaoke.
You can just unattach that mic.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, with that,
holding the mic and
Dr. Norris Dorsey, I want to thank you so much.
Appreciate it,
was a
Ruben.
pleasure.
We thank you, man.
Absolutely, man.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely,
You, brother.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Sir.
yeah, man, Mr. Saver Man right here.
Yes.
Saving people with that water.
Hey.
One drop at a time, y'all.
Oh man,
One drop at a time.
Splash.
Yeah, it's like, sprinkle me, man.
I hope everybody enjoyed this the show. It was a pleasure listening to this gentleman share all that information, and a lot of gems were dropped, guys. Play this back for the youngins that you have in your life, so they can get some financial literacy. And hope you're eavesdropping. Share the show. You guys have a great one.